Find alpha if sine alpha equals 0.7 and the domain is from 0 to 4 pi. The only difference from these, or this question from the others, is that we have two rotations here. Now, there is a method where you're just going to add your answer after the first rotation, just add 2 pi, but I prefer this because later on when we have harder equations in year 12, I just find it easier if students have two graphs like I'm going to illustrate now. So sine of alpha 0.7. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say this is 2 rotations, so I'm going to have a cast. And for my first equation, it's going to be 0. Then it's going to go to pi, and then it's going to go to 2 pi. That will bring me back to the start. However, because it's from 0 to 4 pi, it means that in the next one, I'm going to start at 2 pi, then go to 3 pi, and then go to 4 pi, because there's 2 rotations. This is still the cast. Okay. Sine alpha is positive. Where's sine alpha positive? It's positive in my first and in my second quadrant, first and second quadrant. So we're looking at this one, and that one. So we're going to have 4 answers. Before I do that, I'm going to say my reference angle equals, and we're looking at the arc sine of 0.7. I'm in radians, so I'm going to make sure that my calculator is in radians. Switch it on first. Clear. I'm going to make sure that's in radians. I'm then going to say inverse sine of 0.7. Enter. They don't say what we're going to work in. I'm going to use 2 decimal places, so it's 0.775. That 5 will make that 0.78. 0.78. This will be 0.7 radians. So I have 4 answers. The first one will be my first quadrant, so I'll say therefore alpha equals 0 plus, which is 0.78. In my second quadrant it is pi, or alpha equals pi. I'm going back, I'm going negative direction, so it's pi take away 0.78. On my calculator, because I'm going to use 0.78 a few times, I'm going to store it. And just a reminder how to store that value. I'm going to say store, and I'm going to store it as x, enter, and it shows x is 0.775. Right, so if I go now and say pi, take away, and I'm going to say recall, sorry, I don't have to recall, all I have to say is x, and my answer equals 2.3, and I round that off to 3.7. It's also in my quadrant here. So in this quadrant over here, or alpha equals, I start at 2 pi and I go onward. So it's going to be 2 pi going in a positive direction, so it's going to be plus 0.78, which is going to be 2 pi plus, and I'm just going to say x because I have stored x, and my answer is 7.0. That 8 will make that a 5, so it's 6, so it's 7.06. Or alpha will equal, and in my second quadrant, it will be 3 pi. So I'm going to go to 3 pi. I'm going back into the negative direction, so it means take away my reference angle of 0.78. So we'll say 3 pi, take away x, which I've stored, and the answer equals 8.6, and that 9 will make that 4 a 5, so it will be 8.65. So my 4 answers for alpha equals 0.78, it equals 2.37, it equals 7.06, and it equals 8.64, or 8.65. So that's all the possible answers for the question.